Welcome to level 5 of Crossroads of America. This is the last level in this quest. There will be 2 missions of level 5. They are about Indiana's resources and Indiana's people. In this level of Crossroads of America, you will learn about what makes Indiana a great place to live, its natural resources, and its people. You can find what we're reading about in your Indiana history textbook on pages 44 through 49. This is the last level of Crossroads of America. After we are finished, it will be time for you to start preparing for what is called the boss level. That is for your final test to get out of this quest. It will require good preparation and good study because you won't be able to use your notes on any of it, and it will cover everything in all of 5 levels. So be using this time right now to start preparing for that because you know that it's upcoming. Here are important words to know. These are our vocabulary words for this level. You'll see them highlighted and bolded throughout this level. Natural resources, minerals, agriculture, population density, population distribution, heritage, ethnic groups. Natural resources are something found in nature that people can use. Minerals are non-living natural substances. Agriculture is just another word for farming. Population density and population distribution are 2 words that are easily confused. So remember, population density is the amount of something in an area. So population density is the number of people living in a certain area. Population distribution is the way that population is spread out over an area, and we'll talk about that more in the second mission of this level. Heritage is a way of life, including customs and traditions, and ethnic groups are people that come from the same country, race, or culture. Here's mission 1, Indiana's natural resources. We want to be able to describe Indiana's natural resources and be able to answer these challenge questions. How are renewable and non-renewable natural resources different from each other? What are some examples of mineral resources? Why has Indiana's forest been cut down? Why is soil an important natural resource for Indiana? And what keeps Indiana's supply of water full? Let's remember the big question: what is special or unique about the geography and culture of Indiana? Let's go ahead and get started with this mission by talking about our natural resources. People and animals use natural resources for protection, comfort, food, and fun. Natural resources are all around us, and we use them to protect ourselves. We use them to make our lives more comfortable. We use them for food, and we even sometimes use them for fun. And that's because Indiana has a lot of natural resources. Water, tree, soil, and minerals are all examples of natural resources that we can find in Indiana. And we're going to talk about each of those different types of natural resources as we go through this mission. And that's because we can divide those natural resources into 2 groups: renewable natural resources and non-renewable natural resources. Renewable natural resources are the ones that can be replaced as long as we use them wisely and responsibly. Non-renewable resources, on the other hand, they cannot be replaced, even if we do use them wisely and responsibly. And even because, and really because they can't be replaced, we have to make sure that we use them wisely and responsibly, because once we use them, they are all gone. Let's talk about mineral resources, and these are non-renewable natural resources, meaning that once we use them, they are gone. Scientists believe that many, many years ago, southern Indiana was a shallow ocean bed filled with fish and other aquatic creatures. Aquatic meaning water. When these animals died those many, many years ago, their decaying or dead bodies formed a thick, smooth rock called limestone. Limestone, that should be a familiar word to you. That is our state rock. And that's because there's so much of it in southern Indiana, and it's used for construction of buildings and roads. Coal is another mineral resource mined in Indiana. Just like scientists believe that dying animals and decaying bodies created limestone, they're going to think the same thing about coal. These are called fossil fuels. Coal provides the main source of electricity and heat in the state. When we heat our school building, when we use electricity in our school, when we use electricity to be on our computers right now, that is most likely coming from coal. So coal is a very important natural resource. Limestone and coal together are needed to make steel. Steel is produced in Indiana more than any other state, and we use it to make cars as well as the frames for giant skyscrapers. So it's another very important natural resource that we use all the time. Forest resources, these are renewable natural resources, and they are in fact one of our most valuable natural resources because they help provide shelter for wild animals, the trees do. They help prevent erosion by keeping the soil in place. We'll talk about erosion in a science quest later on this year. They assist earth and storing water for use during droughts. Water can actually be stored by these trees, and that will help us retain some of that water for droughts. Forests help clean air through the process of in taking in oxygen or taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. They provide food for buildings and fuel, which is important for us as well. In fact, many years ago, Indiana was covered with trees that was all over the place. However, over time, people have cleared land for farming and cut trees for lumber and other reasons. Now, unfortunately, only 1/5 of Indiana is covered in forests. This was one of the things that we talked about in an Indiana Daily, how Indiana used to be covered by lots of forests. Over time, however, we've had less and less forests because humans have used them. Soil is another renewable natural resource found in Indiana. Soil and flat land together create a very important natural resources for us. And that's because they would provide land that is good for agriculture. Remember, agriculture means farming. Farmers in Indiana rely on this rich soil to grow their crops. And as you're driving it in Indiana, you will see lots of these different farmers that use our rich soil as well as our flat land to use and to create their own agriculture. The major crops of Indiana are corn, wheat, and soybeans. Water resource. We also have water resources that are renewable. And in fact, it's our most important natural resources. We cannot survive without water, and the earth cannot survive without water. That's because we use it for drinking, washing, cooking, putting out fires, growing plants, transportation, and fun. I'm sure there are some things on that list that we still use water for that I didn't mention. Indiana has many rivers, lakes, and streams that provide us with this water that we need. Remember, we have Lake Michigan as well that helps give us fresh water, a huge source of fresh water. We have lots of reservoirs. Remember, reservoirs are human-created lakes, so they are a really important natural resource for us to use. The water cycle, which you learned about last level, helps keep our water supply full. That means we never will have to worry about running out of water as long as we use it wisely and responsibly. Here, this map shows the locations of many of our natural resources in Indiana. You'll see by looking at the key down here what the different things mean. Corn is found up here. See, that's nearby where we live in Fort Wayne. Stone is found in these two different parts. That's usually limestone. Steel is found in these areas. Forest, remember, that doesn't cover a whole lot of Indiana because we've cut a lot of it down. And oil that we use for cars and coal are found also in Indiana. So we have a lot of important natural resources in Indiana, and this map shows you where those things are found. This is the end of Mission 1 of Level 5. Please make sure you've filled out your notes, that you've taken time to answer the challenge questions. These challenge questions are very important because I can guarantee you they will be stressed in a level up or a boss level type of question. So please be ready and make sure that the answer is correct. A 4th grade answer. I don't want a 1st grade answer that's only 2 or 3 words long. I want a 4th grade answer for those challenge questions. If you have any questions, please ask, and I will be glad to help you. I will see you in the last mission of Level 5 and of Crossroads of America as soon as you pass the checkpoint.